Picture this. You start up a new game of Civ 6 or Civilization 6 and you decide your rectum is healed enough from last time to try deity again. You load up and prepare for a nice game of peaceful colonization and sim citying. And then you see one of these 5 monstrosities and you know the game is over. These are the 5 civs in Civilization 6 that are the worst to spawn next to, and if you see any of these leaders, just restart. It isn't worth it. The game is already lost. Let's get into it. We'll start off nice and simple. The one civ we can all agree on is the Aztecs. Not only are you boned the second you're feeling some wine or a new fur coat, but the Aztec have a warrior unique unit replacement that is just purely jacked up with combat strength steroids, getting an extra 8 combat strength in the early game, not to mention more depending on the difficulty you're playing on. Meaning, before you can even formulate a proper defense, get some archers, build that wall, the Aztec are already planning their grand offensive that would make Waterloo look like a small skirmish. Not only that, but they probably have 1 to 2 luxuries nearby, giving them even more combat strength, as the more luxuries they have, the more combat strength they have. They are the only civ that gets so much free combat strength so early on, that no matter how good of a player you are, if you spawn near the Aztecs and they decide to attack, you will lose. Theoretically, on deity, they would get 28 base combat strength, plus 4 from being on deity, plus 2 from luxuries nearby, giving them 34 combat strength within maximum 20 turns, which is pretty much a swordsman when you can't even get archers that early in the game. There is one strategy to prevent Aztecian invasions though. With iron knees and impeccable tongue work, you can convince the Aztecs to let you live a little while longer by giving them everything you have. They probably won't attack you, and if they just plain don't like you, you might as well restart. But after you get swords, walls, and archers, you should be fine, as the luxury attack bonus really isn't enough, as the Aztecs fall off hard militarily after the classical era. Now for some feminine equality, we have Vietnam. Now, despite looking skinnier than Italian linguini, Trio will kick your butt easily. They have an elephant crossbowman unit that does a lot of damage in the medieval era, but the problem with her is that she has an impenetrable defense with 5 combat strength and 1 movement speed in jungles, forests, and marshes. That means if you're Brazil or you spawn near rough terrain, she will have a huge advantage against you, as it's only amplified on the higher difficulties, because on deity, she would get 9 combat strength in rough terrain when you're fighting against her. No wonder the USA lost. But that's not it. If you decide to attack her, her defensive and movement speed bonuses are doubled, yes, doubled, to 10 combat strength and 2 movement speed in rough terrain tiles in her own territory, meaning you can't win. And unlike the Aztecs, her bonuses last the entire game. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, she'll eventually want to chop some of that rough terrain to get districts out. No, because she actually disincentivizes clearing that rough terrain, as she actually needs forests, rainforests, and marshes to build districts on top of them. Add all that in together, her big bonuses, the fact she'll never chop that terrain, and you cannot attack her, as a potential 13 extra combat strength with no promotions is unstoppable. Now, theoretically, if she had a swordsman, they would get 35, plus 10 from her unique ability, plus 4 from oligarchy, plus 4 on deity, and let's say plus 7 from the first promotion, leading to potentially 60 combat strength swordsmen. Yeah, whether you're defending or attacking against her, you will absolutely stand 0 chance. Babylon is next on this list, and it's not because they can recreate 9/11 2,000 years early. While the fact that Babylon will have crossbows and advanced units earlier than you, getting into a war with them is not as bad as you would think. They still need the production and gold to make these units, and it's a good thing they don't have a unique watermill replacement that gives them more production. Right, guys? If you do get into a war with Babylon, it will be hard, as with their advanced units, you will need to play perfect to even have a chance. And even then, some games they might be so technologically advanced, you have no choice but to retire and try again. But that's not even the worst part. If it was just that, they wouldn't even be on the list. You see, Babylon doesn't have to spawn next to you to ruin your game. Let's take a look at barbarians for a second. Like city-states, barbarians get the tech that the players have. But unlike city-states, their tech isn't local. City-states will have the same amount of technology as their nearest neighbors, so if you have, I guess, archery, and the enemy half a continent away has XCOM squads, well, the city-state near you is not going to have XCOM squads, they're going to have the same tech level you do. But barbarians are different. They are based on the global tech lead research, I guess. Meaning, if Babylon has man-at-arms in the ancient era or even musketmen, which is very possible, then every barbarian in the entire world will have that tech level. Meaning, you might be facing off against 6 to 8 musketmen while you still can't even upgrade into swordsmen. That is not going to end well. So if you do go up against maybe 10 musketmen, an infantry, and a couple bazooka units, it is probably because Babylon is in the game, and not because the game is bugged like I thought. Now, some of you might not know that about 85% of you are unsubscribed. I don't care about that, just want to get that number down to 69% for the memes, so if you do enjoy, like and subscribe to help me achieve my goals. The next civ isn't as bad to go up against militarily as the last couple of civs, but their agenda makes them just as bad. Rome has 3 things going for them. 1. With their agenda, you will never satisfy it, as they want to expand and get mad at civs that don't expand the amount of cities they have. You cannot keep up with them in most games, because they will just infinitely settler spam the entire game, and because of that, they will not like you, they will denounce you, and they will attack you. Not only that, but the second reason is that after they get free monuments in every city, which will be a lot of cities, that will give them a giant amount of early game culture, allowing them to get PP first before they give you the PP with oligarchy-infused swordsmen. And that gets into the third reason why they are so bad to start near. They have legions. 40 combat strength makes them the strongest classical era civ, and with oligarchy, they have the best offensive firepower in the classical era, and they will attack you, as when they inevitably forward settle you with their unique agenda, they will try to take your land and succeed more often than not. The only way to really stop them is to ally with nearby civs, sort of like a NATO alliance, and attack against one is attack against all, unless you're Ukraine, and to pump out your own settlers to satisfy their agenda and potentially make friends with them, and to not get locked from settling more cities. Equal parts annoying as they are terrifying, trying to fight Rome is, well, Gaul, what do you think? Boudica? When Genghis Khan is in the game, you might as well change your name to Genghis, because he's about to exterminate your population and replace them with his 500 children instead. Mongolia in Civ 6 gets extra combat strength for cavalry, and a chance to steal your own cavalry units for themselves, which, if you don't know, is very, very bad. But they also get extra diplomatic visibility from traders and double combat strength due to having more visibility than you. Meaning, if they get 1 more visibility than you have, they will get +6 combat strength instead of the usual +3. And with their trading posts giving them double Diplo visibility, and how hard it is to actually get Diplo visibility in the early game, as delegations you send will give you visibility, but they're lost after you go to war, you will routinely find a cavalry army with 12 to 18 extra combat strength against you, without even factoring in the difficulty strength you might be on. The difficulty strength, because when you're on deity you get +4, it's just, we've already discussed that. This makes Mongolia one of the worst civs to go up against, as they can literally one-shot your archers due to having 4 movement speed cavalry, ignoring zone of control, and having a massive combat strength bonus against you. At least with the previous 4 civs, you could just have a front line of your best melee unit and have archers attack from the rear to provide some sort of defense, but with Mongolia, This just isn't possible and counters any sort of hope you might have had. Mongolia might be the worst civ to spawn next to in the game, which is historically accurate, but in the right situation, they can decimate your military while bolstering their own if you were dumb enough to build any cavalry against them. Finally, we get a bonus civ. That civ is Canada. No, I'm not joking. Canada is a terrible civ to spawn next to, which might seem kind of awkward, as they can't really do anything against you, as number one, it's easy to stay on their good side early game so that they don't denounce you, and they can't declare war on you unless they denounce you, which you'd see coming a mile away. But the problem with Canada is that you can't declare war on them either unless you denounce them, which isn't really the smartest idea early game, and when you're salivating at the 3 to 4 free settlers without any escorts they might have, you get to a situation where you almost wished Canada would declare war on you so you could steal those juicy settlers for yourself. Not the worst civ to spawn next to, of course, as they can't do anything against you, but I thought I'd just add them in here because this happens a lot more than you would think. If you enjoy the video, like and subscribe to not miss out on future content, and let me know down below what video you want to see next, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.